first one was the attorney status. I make a motion that Boone, Scott and Boone and his associates be recognized as the city attorney from this point on.
Second.
His associates.
Yes, ma'am.
He's the city attorney. How can he
His
associate?
law firm, Boone, Scott and Boone and his associates.
Second.
So the council is hiring him and his associates. I'm just trying to get clarity. I don't need it from the audience, Ms. Bailey. As a
That's not what he
journalist.
said. He said to recognize them.
Excuse me.
Look, I sat here and been quiet, graded in public, at the mayor's approval.
We'll go. Come on.
I don't have to leave the meeting. If you then you'll have to arrest me.
No arrest.
Get pictures. Take a picture. Please take a picture. Come on, take it to jail, book me. Right now.
We'll bond you. Let me down there, we'll put you on.
What I'm trying to clearly understand once more again, council, when we, your statement, I'm just trying to get clarity. I don't need it from the audience, Ms. Bailey. As a
That's not what he
journalist.
said. He said to recognize them.
Excuse me.
Look, I sat here and been quiet, graded in public, at the mayor's approval.
We'll go. Come on.
I don't have to leave the meeting. If you then you'll have to arrest me.
No arrest.
Get pictures. Take a picture. Please take a picture. Come on, take it to jail, book me. Right now.
The first one was the attorney status. I make a motion that Boone, Scott and Boone and his associates be recognized as the city attorney from this point on.
Second.
His associates.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to address Mayor, can I say one more thing? I want to address the fact, and I'm not ashamed to address the gas station orders as long as we can get it. On my personal level, I don't trust it. That's me. I'm speaking for me. Because when I get a lawsuit for this city and my name in there, and Mr. Boone said I talked to him, blah, 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 and he only presented one side, I got a side too. Now, I know what transpired with some conversations we had. I'm speaking on my side. I cannot work with people I don't trust. In 19 years, I have never called to ask any legal advice from Mr. Boone. Now we get these calls get legal advice. Everything we say to get the information to move the city forward is thrown against us. It's open meeting violation. You shouldn't have done this. You harassed us. I have not harassed anybody. That's not my name. And I don't appreciate reading in a lawsuit, you harass somebody. Why not get my side before you do the lawsuit? You're an attorney that represents the city, not half of it.
All right.
And I don't appreciate that. That's my standard, that I cannot work with people that I cannot trust.
Thank you, Council. Streets, Council Whipple.
Mayor, before you start, I want to object to the notice for the call
Excuse
meeting.
me.
Because it
Excuse
was
me.
not a
Excuse
location
me.
noted of the call meeting. And I
Excuse
consider
me.
this
This
a
is,
special meeting, and I want that on the record tomorrow.
City of Gordon, call meeting, council agenda.
Mayor, if there's not a quorum, you cannot open the meeting.
Excuse me.
I want that on the record too
This
tomorrow.
is not a call meeting.
That's what it says. You notified everybody that it's a called meeting, Mayor.
The mere fact of the matter is that there was a called meeting, but due to the fact, we've just started, and it takes 4 to make a quorum.
That's true.
So if 4 are not here present, then it cannot be called, we cannot hold a meeting.
That's correct.
But, and we don't need response from the audience. It would be nice if everybody would just sit and be attentive as adults are with the water. And
It's not a meeting.
this is not a meeting, so you can excuse yourself. And this discussion is very critical because it demands our most urgent attention and action. And we have until the 10th of April to comply with EPA's regulation.
It's not a meeting. It's not a meeting. It's not a meeting.
What's gonna happen?
So,
Council,
There's no
Ripple has
council
done a
here,
great
Mayor.
job in.
there's
in,
no council here, Mayor, it's
Yeah.
not a quorum. You cannot call this
G.B.R.
council. This is not a meeting.
It's just a public talking, that's all it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
discussion.
Thank you, Chief.
Take that off the record, it's not a meeting.
Okay, money is the city. And we really need to discuss this. We really need to discuss this. And we really, and I personally, like I said, talked with councils, and they did tell me that they would be here, then they tell the clerk something else. So we don't know if you say
You
you're
know
gonna
why
do
the
this today,
lady's
you're gonna
not
do this
here that's
tomorrow.
coming and discussing?
Those people say
She
they were
can
gonna
still
be.
discuss with us.
Aretha, if you remember correctly, you and Barbara missed about 8 or 9 meetings in a row last summer.
Oh, ma'am, we did not.
We're not here to discuss about days.
Yes,
If you're gonna print something in your paper,
Yes,
I
ma'am,
really
I am.
appreciate that you would not put untruth in there. Please
Yes,
put
ma'am.
the truth in there. I missed 2 meetings. Thank you.
And so did I, 3 at the most.
No, ma'am.
Mayor and council, I want to say this to you as I close for sure. When I was called a nigger, twice, I'm not calling no names. I'm not going to use the video that I turned around. I'm not going to do that. Why am I not going to do that? Because that's not what it's about. What it's about is building a better city. Whether it's Med, Dawson, Whitman, Warrington, Davisburg, that's what it's about. When I was in the military, they didn't tell me nothing about no black and no white, no Democrat, no Republican. They told me to do what I need. I served during the Vietnam era. They didn't need all that.
Can I see your home?
Yes, sir. If y'all having a question for me?
DD 14.
Yes, sir.
See if I can.
Mr. Ryan, Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
I have a question.
Please do. Yes, all questions.
Do you live in Gordon?
No, I do not live in Gordon.
And so you're not a citizen of Gordon?
No, I'm not a citizen here of the city of Gordon. And, well, no. That's, she asked the question. She deserves an answer.
Yeah.
And the answer is, no, I do not. I enrolled in the military in 1971. I didn't serve Gordon. I didn't serve Thomasville, Valdosta, Atlanta, none of them. Or neither of Puerto Rico or our outlying territories. I serve for everybody. And that's why I serve everybody. So when I'm called to these communities, I go because I care. That's why I go. Nobody give me no gas for coming up here for the most part. I do it because I love people. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So my question is, you're under the citizens talking time, and are you appearing as a citizen of Gordon or as a journalist, or how are you appearing here? If you're appearing as a journalist, why does the mayor stop me from speaking?
Madam, I go to a lot of cities. I'm very familiar with the laws of addressing city council. I have no idea, but I will say this. If the mayor stopped you from doing what I'm doing tonight as a journalist to get to Free Press under the name of George Boston Rhymes. If she stopped you after you put in the request to speak as I put in the request, she is wrong in my opinion. If you put in a request tonight, I think that you have a right to be doing the same thing that I'm doing, and I wish you would have. Now that's just the way I see it. Jesus said, what I say unto one, I say unto all. And so if you can't do it unto all of us, don't do it unto any of us.
That's right. The only other thing, I think one more
Yes,
question.
yes.
You said that you don't try to belittle anybody or make them feel bad. When you hold the newspaper up that I publish and make criticisms about that newspaper, that's offensive to me because you're not going off fact. You're only going off opinion and your emotional feelings. And that's offensive to me.
Madam, I got you. She deserves an answer.
Listen, I'm not saying that, but
The
go ahead and
newspaper's
address
trash.
this.
Mike,
Go
this
ahead,
lady's talking
excuse
out
me.
over here. This lady just called the newspaper trash, and she's talking out of turn.
Excuse me, ladies, right now. You will address that and we will end this. Okay, please, thank you.
Editor Judy, baby, I will say this to you. If what I spoke was in error, or if I spoke that offended you, from my heart I'm sorry. But from my observation, from what I know to be untruths, just like today's paper, I can sit with you, if you would like at any time, with the camera rolling. And let's dialogue the apples and oranges, and let's find out. Somewhere I read, come let us reason together. And that's what is happening in this world today. People are not willing to sit down and reason. It ain't about argument, because if people looking for somebody to argue with George Boston Rhymes, I'm sorry, you got the wrong one. I don't argue.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Excuse
Excuse me, Miss Bailey.
I'm speaking.
No, I said after he speaks, that would be the end.
Why you didn't
Have
cut
it-
him
please
off?
have a
He went
seat.
over his 3
We
minutes.
are moving further along because you kept asking questions. That's from the mayor. All right, let's have a seat. That's the end of that. So now, moving further along, you and him will have to get together. Y'all can answer all the
I don't
questions
have
you want.
anything else to say to him unless it's in.
All right, thank you.
Hello, my name is Miss Simmons. I sit here and I listen to everything that goes on. And you know, the last weekend I called your newspaper trash. Maybe I could have used a better word.
She's supposed to address council.
We're not having anyone speak out of order, please. She's requesting to be on the agenda.
I was on the agenda. Yes, I did call your paper trash, but I think a good journalist is going to state the facts. And I mean, a lot of incidents you didn't. And I got some notes. But a fact is, you should write about why the city of Gordon hasn't had an audit yet. What do they have to hide? That's one thing you should write about. How come a city, 1 week they broke, the next week the city got plenty of money? But that's not even here or there.
The associates. I'm just trying to get clarity. I don't need it from the audience, Miss Bailey. As a
That's not what he
journalist.
said. He said to
I'm-
recognize them.
Excuse me.
Look, I sat here and been quiet, graded in public, at the mayor's approval.
We're good. Come on.
I don't have to leave. If you didn't, you'll have to arrest me.
No arrest.
Get pictures. Take a picture. Please take a picture. Come on, take me to jail, book me. Right now.
We'll bond him. Let me down there, let me see.
Hello, my name is Miss Simmons. I sit here and I listen to everything that goes on. And you know, the last weekend I called your newspaper trash. Maybe I could have used a better word.
She's supposed to address council.
We're not having anyone speak out of order, please. She's requesting to be on the agenda.
I was on the agenda. Yes, I did call your paper trash, but I think a good journalist is going to state the facts. And I mean, a lot of incidents you didn't. And I got some notes. But a fact is, you should write about why the city of Gordon hasn't had an audit yet. What do they have to hide? That's one thing you should write about. How come a city, one week they broke, the next week the city got plenty of money? But that's not even here or there. In one of your articles, you wrote about the councilwoman cost the city $340, which is not true. But you never retract it. A good journalist is going to retract it. In fact, they saved the city $340. The meeting was supposed to be on a Wednesday. So by them not going on a Tuesday, the city would save $340. And then another article you wrote, the city will not make payroll, in which indeed the city did make payroll. The check was deposited in a timely manner by the mayor to make sure that all her employees was paid. But most of all, Mr. George Buster Rhymes stood up here and expressed how he walked the street in Gordon in 2015 and was called the nigger word by 2 women. You didn't think that was newsworthy? Nowhere in your paper did you print about him being called the N-word by 2 women on the street in Gordon. And I really think you're biased. And I'm asking all of you who disagree with the things she writes in her paper, don't buy it. Hit her in her pocket. Because a good journalist is going to write the facts. And a lot of times your facts is not true.
Excuse me.
Don't hit me again, Miss Linda. Don't hit me again. Keep your hands to yourself.
Kelly.
Dorita, what is your understanding? You're asking yourself, and that's what you said. And Mr. Smallwood, what did you think it was?
What Terry said.
That's the case, and then, but that's not the way I understood it. So
You didn't ask the right people. There you go again. If you had asked the right people rather than be selective in who you talked to, you might have got the right answer.
Well, he hadn't asked me anything, so I'm just hearing this for the first time, and that's true. And I was told that it was.
okay. This is something that was brought up to my attention after I'm kind of pushed out of this place to research this, and with what was told me. So I did what I did based on what I was advised to do. Okay.
And you think that is a fair assessment of doing forensic stuff? Picking up on just something like this?
No, I would like to have been brought in and accepted to do this, but I'm right now working as best I can with the obstructions I have of getting in here to allow to finish this job.
By who?
By who?
Yes, by who?
Whoever abstains when they vote on this thing is obstructing it. So you tell me.
You talked about the hearing, and did I hear anything that you said or not? I heard you tell in that courtroom that day that there was $37,000 some odd dollars wrote to Georgia Power that Georgia Power said they did not receive. We came back and we found every check from Georgia Power, and they added up to $37,000 whatever few dollars. So now, did you perjure yourself on that stand that day?
No, that's the information I had at the time. I'm still trying to get information from Georgia Power to verify that, yes or no. So I did not perjure myself. I was given a copy of what was supposed to be all of the meters, all the accounts for the city of Gordon had with Georgia Power. I compared that to the payments, and I came up $37,000 short. So with the information I had, that's what I did.
And you think somebody took the money? You said somebody else may have
I
got
didn't
the
say
money.
that, sir. I said that there's $37,000 short.
Somebody may have got the money.
You did, excuse me.
I said it was $37,000 short. I don't know what that means. I need to reconcile. I need to continue working on it to be able to make a determination whether that's actually was gone or not, okay?
One other thing in that hearing that day, did you or not say you have not worked on the audit in a long time because you have not been paid? Did you not make that statement that day?
At that time I did.
Okay. The week before we had that hearing, did you and Mr. Reese or not call the county commissioner's office and talk to a Mrs. Judy Brown on a phone conference and ask
Yes, we did.
them?
We had a meeting.
Okay, yes, sir.
That's right.
Okay.
So that was the first time that I worked on this audit since back in May.
But you said you
And they
had
come-
not worked on it.
I said I hadn't worked on it much. I hadn't. You go back and look at my timesheet, I have time back in, way early in the first couple of days in May, hadn't done anything until the weekend. They called me up, Mr. Reese and Mr. Jones called me up and wanted to come meet in Monticello. They had some information they wanted me to look at. So I went down there to look at it. It's the first thing I had done in it, and figured the months, maybe 2.5 months. Is that fair enough?
What I heard, you said you had not worked on it at all. You said, I have not worked on it because I have not been paid. That was the statement I heard. I bet you I will always probably got the
I don't
credit.
recall saying that.
Okay.
I really don't recall exactly how I put it, but I had not worked on it until then. Okay. Well, so I got another finding that was brought to my attention that I want to bring out. Okay. And that's the little thing got to do with the alcohol beverage tax. Let me pass this out. Let me pass this out.
You don't think people make errors?
I'm sorry?
You don't think people make errors on those sometimes? I've already picked up that, and I've already called the auditor right and right, and their lady, Miss Patricia, made an entry error on that. Call them and ask them. $1,430,000 when it's supposed to be $21,000. It's a one-line item error. Okay? It is a revenue showing as a revenue. It's not a paid up. That $21,000 is what it's supposed to
Okay,
be
you
for the
made
line
an entry
item.
of $1.4 million. That was a credit to alcohol and beverage tax. What was the other side of the entry?
$1,434,000.
What's the
Which
other?
if that added together, you know, subtract 21 from it, that's what it goes to.
What is the other side of the entry? It's a double entry accounting system. You have a credit to the revenue account. What's the debit?
It's a plus 1434.
Yes, that's the credit. What's the debit? And to what account?
It's under alcohol beverage tax.
That's the credit. What's the debit?
Look, they're both the same. There's no debit. It says over budget or under actual budget is all it says.
You're not an accountant, right?
No, sir, I'm not an accountant.
Hush!
Tell me the number that you're looking at or what you want to say.
Okay. Other side of the when you make in our accounting systems, you have it's a double entry system. You make an entry to credit the franchise tax. Excuse me, the alcohol beverage tax. You have to have a debit offset the balance of the books. Okay. So you credit the alcohol beverage tax. You debit something else. That's what is the debit. I'm going to look at that. You can't do it.
I did not make this entry. This is a year in audit adjustment from last year.
So you don't know the other
She
side.
has still been corrected today. She said she put the wrong account. I have to correct it, and I will get paid for it under the social.
I'll tell you what the other side of the entry was. You made an entry to the fixed assets for $1.4 million. I don't understand why you would do something like that. Or why any, okay, well, who else puts information into the QuickBooks files?
I'm not supposed to be talking.
You're not supposed to be talking.
I'm not supposed to be talking.
I don't understand that either.
But I like what we like is like to.
Well, I hate to say that right and right was wrong this time because that was not a proper. The entry makes no sense. $1.4 million fixed assets, $1.4 million credit to the alcohol and beverage tax. The entry made no sense. Okay? That was brought to my attention, and so I'm bringing it up now. Okay, you say you want to hear examples of things.
I found that myself. I would look over these numbers every month. Ask Ms. Brown, didn't I call her and ask her the same question? Where and why? And she told me that it was an error on Ms. Right, it comes down for.
But you didn't know what the entry was.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was saying, Councilman, you didn't see that?
What?
This is what they're discussing.
Yeah, I see.
As a
I
chair.
mean, it stands out. I mean, it's hard to miss it.
Well, I have a problem with all of a sudden, therefore, you got passed out, let me say. The old saying was, where's the money, man?
Right.
As soon as you go out, the sign on the thing said, the money's in the bank. You slipped in through the back door.
Oh.
That's how I got in the bank. 1.4 million.
That money's not there.
If that money's not there, then all these figures, this is money on paper.
That's all
A
that
lot of this is money on paper.
Uh-huh.
We need an audit to see exactly where we stand in liquid asset and everything else.
Exactly.
Because we don't know.
I want a clean slate, that's all.
The entry made no sense to me. I went and looked at the, if you get revenue in from the alcohol beverage tax, it goes through the general fund. I went to look in the general fund to see if there was a deposit for anywhere near that kind of money. No, there's no deposit for money. It's just a flat journal entry for whatever reason. I had no idea. And you want to see examples of things, so I brought up an example of things. You know, I don't know what it is.
It didn't surprise me. I saw it. You didn't surprise me with it. I already knew it. And I'd already questioned the right people to find out the right answer.
I wish I could come up
Mr.
with
Right
something.
and right.
I wish I could come up with something you're not surprised about at this point in time. But the things I'm seeing, I still haven't.
Be very careful where you go with your statements. I'm not going to put up with it if you continue to make accusations, okay?
Question, attorney. I'm sorry, counsel.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman. Now, to attest to this, can you explain to me that you got on the witness stand accordingly and said that I, the mayor, is bankrupting the city by stealing grant money and all bankrupting the city, so
No, ma'am.
I can
never
agree.
said that. Read the transcript. You will not see where Terry Eady said that.
The mayor's bankrupt the city, so all of a sudden, the money's gone. Where's the money? Now you put the sign out there, we're happy, happy, happy. The money's back in the bank. I want to know which door did it come into.
Are y'all really using signs and
You're,
Kelly,
the next outburst, we will have.
They've been having outbursts the whole night.
y'all be quiet. Everybody be quiet.
That's enough, man.
As I said, the money's back, so we're happy, happy, happy. Show us how it got back. Auditor.
I can't show you how I got back. I can't get back in there and take a look. So I don't know. You know, I'm been removed from looking at this stuff. I just get things sent to me from time to time to say, look at this. This looks funny to me. That's the best I can do at this point. I still have my list of things that I want to go investigate. The transfers of monies, the investigation in certain accounts. I really don't want to go into a whole lot of detail of the things I want to do because I don't want to give away the things I'm looking at. Because they could be changed and altered and purged. I don't need that to happen to make my audit even tougher. Does that not make sense?
Yes, sir.
I can't explain everything I'm going to do as I go through it. When I finish it, I'll give you a full report of everything that I see and the funny transactions that happen. That's what I'll give you.
Okay.
And I'm doing this in the best interest of the city. Okay? I wish you would just accept that. If you don't accept that, then when it comes up to vote no. Okay? Vote no. I want you to have all the information you need to be able to vote yes or no. I'd rather you vote yes. If you want to vote no, vote no.
Keep moving forward.
Okay? Is that clear enough? That's...
Bill, let me ask you a question. On those QuickBooks in the year 2009, in August of 2009, there was $2 million moved from Georgia Farms 1 that went to Magnolia Bank to purchase the CD.
Quiet, please.
During that same time period, that year, there was a $2 million adjustment on the QuickBooks. Why was there a $2 million adjustment on the QuickBooks?
I don't know about the adjustment on the QuickBooks.
Mr. One, do you know why there was a $2 million adjustment?
It had to go through the bank. Ask Melissa Morris Bank. She can explain it to you. When we moved that CD from Magnolia to Morris Bank. When we got to Morris Bank, she had to run it through the general fund account, some kind of banking transaction. Okay? But that money is actually that $2 million CD that we have now at Morris Bank. It's the same $2 million transfer from place to place.
Okay, but I have a problem with the money was moved from Georgia Transfer 1. We see that in the QuickBooks. We see where the money's moved, and it decreased the amount of money that was in the Georgia Transfer 1 down to $500-something thousand.
No.
Then, yeah, it was $2,500,000 in that until the $2 million was moved. Once the $2 million was moved, that left $563,000 in the Georgia Fund 1. Why, later on down, we got an adjustment in the QuickBooks for the year for $2 million?
That was another one of those year-end audit adjustments that Right and Right made.
$2 million?
That's where it went through the bank, and they had to take it, they had to take it out of the general fund.
Now that's something that I feel we need to really look into.
But it's all their document. I found it the other day, right on the bank statement. It's all documented. And we called Melissa Morris Bank, she'll verify.
One of the problems with the Georgia 1 fund was it hadn't been reconciled in at least 10 years. It needed to be looked at. And those, I was looking at the transaction, and those are the transactions I want to follow, to see where the money came from and where it went to. You look at all the, where all it went, all the types of the checks, to make sure everything's being done the way it's supposed to be done. Okay? It just hasn't been looked at. And it's a lot, it started out at $6 million, now it's down to $5,000. I'm not saying, I don't have the same opinion that Terry has about the $2 million. But there's other transactions there I have a problem with. Okay?
When we move those amounts of money, whether you say it's 25, 50, or whatever, 75, this council makes a motion at this table to take the money out of the One Georgia Fund, just like Mr. Reese tried to do that night for your $10,000 to get passed. We did the same thing every time. The minutes would reflect when we voted to take that money and move it. So if you get the minutes and look back into One Georgia Fund, you would see that they would match up, and then the transaction from One Georgia Fund is an automatic transfer. They transfer that money automatically, electronically to the Georgia Bank. I can't remember which account it went in, say the money market fund or the general fund or whatever. But then to get it to the other fund, you have to move it, once it gets to the bank.
I know how it works.
Yeah.
I understand how it works. Right. I just want to see the full transaction. I don't want to just see $25,000 out here, showing up here, then showing up over here. I want to see that when that money moved over here, that was the money moved over here, and it didn't come in from somewhere else. It was not reported. Okay, I want to see the check to back up the money that showed up here, so with the money that came in here, it was not just a check from somewhere else that you didn't record. It shouldn't be recorded as revenue. Okay, that needs to be clarified. That's why I asked for the copy of the deposit slip and the check behind the deposit slip to show me exactly where that money came from. Okay, and I haven't been shown that yet. I've asked for it numerous times. There's also, I hate to reveal everything, but there was a $230,000 transaction that moved money from the general fund into the SPLOST 2007 fund. And it said to refund it. There was no money that ever came out of 2007 fund, SPLOST 2007, to went to the general fund that needed to be refunded. But that was the note that was on there. So why is there a note that says refunded, but it was never taken out in the first place? Okay? Don't you think that needs to be looked at? Is there something maybe going on that needs to be investigated?
I'm sure that money and the answer is there if you ask the right people. I might not off the top of my head remember. In the past, we have had 4 or 5 different projects in this city that you have to use SPLOST money for. And sometimes to pay that money, you pay for it from the general fund, and then you take and pay it back with the other money.
Sir,
it can be.
Let me do it real quick. I don't just want to ask people. I want to see the documents. I'm not going to just take the word of somebody. See, I want to see the actual physical evidence of what's going on.
That document should be there.
I haven't yet received it yet. That's my whole problem. There's a lot of transactions I want to investigate to see that everything is above board. Everything is fine. That's it in a nutshell. I've told you that every time we bump into each other.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want to go broadcasting it all over the place. Like I've done tonight. But you're pushing me in this position to do this kind of thing, which is kind of silly to me. But That's what we're at. That's where we are.
So, Council, go ahead, Council.
If we could get you to finish this audit, do you have a problem with Mr. Edie sitting throughout the audit? Sitting in there and you want to...
Accompanying.
I didn't think so. So you have no problem with him or any other council member
I didn't.
sitting while you complete this audit. Am I correct?
That's correct. Anybody come in that wants to. Mr. Smallwood came in one time. Barb's come in several times. I don't think you ever. You came in once. Okay. I don't remember. You never came in.
He never comes.
I didn't
I was
think you
never
needed.
invited.
Well, I don't invite people. They just show up. Okay.
That's fine.
It's not an invitation only. It's just I'm
you
here
have an
working.
invitation
Some
to
people
invite.
came in.
Councilman Edie, I'm sorry. Mr. Baskett, does he have an invitation tonight?
You have an open invitation to come in. Give me a yes vote.
Will you
Give me a no vote. I don't.
Certainly, I'll be glad to work with Mr. Baskett if we get everything ironed out legally.
Well, that's fine. That's the whole point of this thing. That's why we're here to vote on my engagement letter, to get everything legal the way you want it.
All right.
And I want it legal too.
And one other thing, before we go any further, I want to say this one more time too. Your audit is not approved in our budget. You understand that? Do you know what that means? That your money has to be found and a budget amendment made to find where that money is going to come from to pay you. We have never done that. We don't have the money, to pay you. So now we got to back up and try to find a way to find that money to pay you and do a budget amendment. It has to be voted on in order for you to get paid. You understand? I mean,
Well, that's your opinion. I don't know.
that is not an opinion. That is by the state law.
Is
I
that?
can tell you what, Finance Chair.
We can do that.
But what I'm saying is true, Mr. Reed.
Right, what
Yeah.
you're saying is true. And we can look at some line items and find the money. Because, let me say this to y'all. I think we've dealt in mediocre stuff ever since the mayor been in here. It's time for us to act like grown folk and be the dignified Christian that some of us confess to be. Nobody's pointing fingers saying nobody's a thief, a robber, or a liar. What we're saying is, in business, we're going to be men. And this is the way we're going to operate the business. Let's get this audit complete. Let's get the standing on the city finance where we can do this budget and we can move forward. Because it's too many hindrances going on. It doesn't take this long to do this budget. Let's give Mr. Baskett what he's requested. Let's go ahead and complete this audit so we'll all know what the finances of the city are. We have other things that we need to deal with. And these are precious issues, and we're just not going to go forward until we can get this stuff resolved. We're battling each other, and we're fighting, and this is not good for this council. Now, I would never point fingers at anyone on this council to say, I accuse you of this or that. Now, I will use the word I see as misappropriation. If there were mistakes, then we need to correct them. But there are some things that the auditor needs to look at, and we need to give him that access. And if the thing is, Mr. Edie, that you wasn't invited in, I would be more than happy for you to come. I wish you had come to sit in, because you're very instrumental on this council because of the knowledge and the expertise and the years you put in service. And you and I have never found each other. Mr. Smallwood, same situation. And we got to get back to this. Man, you're new.
Yes.
But she don't know a lot of stuff, y'all. She's trying to learn. Don't get her for being inexperienced. I was director of a computer program firm up there in Macon, and I had to train people, and they thought they were smart. They sent me somebody that dropped out of school in the 9th grade. But you know what? That person turned out to be the best operator we ever had. Why? Because I trained them. And people can't do it. Everybody needs a chance. And the man needs a chance. We need to, when there are things that are not appropriate, sometimes we have to discuss these things behind closed doors and not bring them to this open forum. We got to get some things ironed out, and we got to get on one foot. We got to move forward with this. The lawsuits, the water adjustments, come on, y'all. I mean, we just got to move forward with the city business. We stalled 7-8 months. It's time to move forward. And I don't think we can move forward until we get Mr. Baskett to come in here. And my prayer is that he don't find anything. But things are questionable. Let's go ahead and erase those questions and move forward.
Thank you.
I do want to point out one more thing. There's a lot of cash that runs through here for the water bills. People in the city, they pay the bill with the bills in cash. cash is a very risky thing to pay your bills with, because that allows the possibility of easier to steal, because cash is easier to take, okay? I just want to make, if nothing else ever happens to this whole city, I would just like to tell you people, stop paying your water bills with cash. Write a check. They can't, nobody can steal your check. Not very easily, but they can pocket your cash a lot easier than that. Okay, so just don't do that anymore. There's thousands of dollars being paid that way. Okay? You can pay any way you want to, but I just recommend you don't. And that's really all I guess. I'm trying to think of anything else. I just want to make sure. The thing is, you got to vote yes or no. Abstain vote means you have a problem. You have a situation. Either, the way I understand, I did some research on this to find out what an abstention vote means. It means you either have a conflict of interest. This is for everybody, of course. You either have a conflict of interest, or you haven't had the questions answered yet. So I came here to answer your questions. Anything you have, as best I can. I probably revealed too much that I wanted to anyway. But I'm here to answer any questions, so you can either vote yes or no and make a decision on that. Okay. So is there any more questions?
There's one more. The day we was in that hearing, Miss Taylor Hunt came up to me with your card in her hand, and she told me that the NAM was going to pay your expenses. Has that happened?
No.
Well, she told me they were.
I wish she'd gone through with it.
She said a lot of things that ain't material.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Is she here?
You know.
Is she here? You got a check for me?
I paid for some materials that you needed. I did an open request for some records that you needed, but they have not provided them. And I have called the Attorney General, and he told me by Wednesday if I don't have them, that we're going to sue.
Some of the things that she's asking for are those checks, the back of the deposit slips. I have not. She's asked for them. How long ago was that?
I sent a request in July, the 20th. Well, I got an answer back on the 28th. I spoke with Mr. Green, and he said that she was going on a vacation, Ms. Brown, and would be back on the 4th. The assistant clerk could work on it, but she's got all the duties to do, and if the mayor permitted her, she could work on it and produce some of it. Well, the 4th came, I came up 3 days later, and Ms. Brown refused to give me any information. I paid for it, paid for a big portion of it, $230-something, and then I have only gotten 3 of the 17 items.
Where were you told to pick up those things?
According to the open records, I'm supposed to pick them up with the keeper of the records. And according to the open records request, after I read the document, the keeper of the records for Gordon, Georgia is the city clerk, and that's where I was going to pick them up. Now, she was saying I needed to contact Attorney Boone. I told her no, that she was the keeper of the records, and that's where I would be receiving them from Gordon. Now, if she wanted to go to Irvington and pick them up, if they were over there, then if they were being kept in Irvington, then I needed to notify the State Department that the records are not kept here, that they're kept in Irvington. And if I had to get them from Irvington, she needed to go get them and bring them here, because I was told to pick them up at the City Hall in Gordon.
See, I have a problem with having those document requests be picked up in Irvington. I don't know why they're not picked up at City Hall. I don't understand. In Irvington, does that mean it's your office? Are you receiving these? Are you receiving these things?
Well, with all due respect, sir, as she's already pointed out, she has made this a subject of an open investigation by the Attorney General's office. It is an open investigation now. We are answering it to the Attorney General's office. So I'm not going to comment on an open investigation by the Attorney General's office.
Well, that's fair enough. But I think that if somebody asks an open records request, the documents should come from the City Hall, not from anywhere else. Because I want to see the documents straight from the source without anybody else having their hands on them. Okay? That's all I have to say. Unless you have any more questions for me, because I'm here to answer any question that you have, so you can vote yes or no on my audit. Or excuse me, my engagement letter, I should say. I'm asking, does anybody else have any more questions for me? Because I'm willing to answer anything related to my engagement.
Thank you, Mr. Baskett.
Thank you.
Next. Council, I will now ask for a motion to approve Mr. Baskett's engagement letter.
I make the motion to approve Mr. Baskett's engagement letter.
I second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions?
Where is he gonna start from now? What is he gonna do now?
Go ahead.
What is he going to do now, Mr. Baskett?
Am I asking enough question?
What's your next move? Where are you going from here? If you are approved for the audit.
I would come down here and pick up where I left off, start doing the investigation, start pursuing these items that I requested, looking at them, tracing these transactions through. Doing the other things I don't want to give you my audit plan totally, but there's other things I want to look at. Some going into funds and different things to find out, look at the money and who the money's being paid to. Okay, that's an audit.
All of your existing invoices you feel illegal and everything now. All of your existing invoices, you feel they are legal now.
Well, I think so.
That's my question. I mean, you're operating illegally up to this point. So I didn't know how we would back up on all of that. That's my question.
And I apologize for not knowing more about procedures of the City of Gordon. Okay, I just was brought in to do an audit. I started my audit, and next thing you knew, everything just blew up on me. And I was just trying to do my job. You know, I didn't want to offend anybody. I didn't want to exclude anybody. But there's certain things I can't tell everybody when you're doing an audit. A forensic audit is not the same as an annual audit. When Bright and Wright come in here, they do a financial audit. And that's to state that the financial statements fairly represent the financial condition of the city. Okay? But they don't do the kind of things, they don't look at the kind of things that I look at, in the detail that I look at it. I look for the weak areas and then focus on those to see if there's anything going on. I'm not going to do what Bright and Wright does. It's nowhere near the same thing. And what they do is what they're supposed to do. I'm not saying anything about their job, because they are supposed to do a financial audit, and that's what they've been doing. But they're again, like I said, they don't do what I do, and I don't do what they do. It's two separate things. And what I do is not something that you want to do every year. It's something that you do periodically. Maybe, like the mayor said, she comes in, you get a new administration, she wants to make sure everything is fine. Okay? And it's not a bad idea to do that every 4 or 5 years, or however often you get a new mayor.
Can I ask a question, man?
Sure.
I know since I've been on council, we've never had a forensic audit, just a regular audit. Has there ever been a forensic audit for this city that you all know of?
Not since I've been on council. There was some money went missing, just as Mr. Baskett said, 33 or 4 or 5 years ago, when some cash got missing, and they caught the person that did it and everything, and whether they did a forensic audit then was before my time.
I mean, I did read in the paper, in the Telegraph, the plaintiff attorney representing the concerned citizens of Gordon, he was quoted as saying that the city of Gordon has a forensic audit done every year. That was
forensic.
But that's. I'm just saying. What I don't know. I wasn't there to hear it. That was what was printed in the paper. And when I read that, I said, "There's no way the city has a forensic audit done. They have a financial audit done every year, and you're supposed to. You're obligated to have a financial audit every year, and so you've got to.
We got clean governmental audits, from the state for the last 30, 40 years. Gatsby, I guess you're familiar with all the different Georgia, laws that you go by for audits. You have to meet all the standards that they put out there. We've met every one of them every year to get a clean audit. I've got a copy of them at home, for the last 10 years.
There's one thing, I guess, It probably gives times you need to read this. This is your financial audit from last year, okay? And some of the comments that are made by your financial audit provider, right. And probably, I've well said, and it is true. I'll read it to you. It says, a deficiency in internal controls exists when the design or operation of the control does not allow management or employees in the normal course of performing their assigned functions to prevent or detect and correct misstatements on a timely manner. Material weaknesses, deficiency, or a combination of deficiencies in internal control, such that there is a reasonable defect, possibility that a material misstatement of the entity's funding statement will be prevented or detected and corrected on a timely basis. And with this, it's not very long. That's just. Our consideration for the internal control is for the limited purpose described in the first paragraph of this section. It was not designed to identify all deficiencies in the internal control that might be material weakness or significant deficiencies. Given these limitations, during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in what we consider to be material weaknesses. However, material weakness may exist that have not been identified.
That's a standard statement
I know.
all put in there.
That's
You
right.
an auditor, you would do something the same thing.
But they did say down here, accordingly, we do not express an opinion on the effectiveness of the city of control, Gordon's internal control. Basically, they are not really happy with internal control, and you can't have good internal controls in a situation where you have one person doing all the functions. That in itself will have poor internal controls. Now, you have a small office, so there's really it's difficult what you can do about it. But it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get somebody in there to help out, so you can divide the functions a little bit. What's that? Well,
That's why I said it that way. She doesn't do everything that I do. That's the reason why.
there's not enough. There's not enough internal control. I promise you.
If I could add one point, I think Councilman Lee does make an interesting point that if the audit were to be approved, it needs to be approved retroactively to when it was signed, the contract of engagement letter was signed in February. That way it could be paid from the time it started. So if the amendment could be, motion could be amended to add that it be retroactive to the date we started back in February. That would allow the payment for all of things that he's already done. I don't know if somebody wants to make that motion, but it could be amended. The motion is on the table to allow that it be retroactive to February 19, 2014 when the engagement letter was signed.
Attorney General, I hope that motion that we make it retroactive. Mr. Baskett has worked, he's worked hard, and he's done a good job the way he could work. He's done the work, and we need to be responsible people and pay him like we need to pay all the bills to people that have rendered service for and to this city. So I make that motion that it be retroactive.
I'm a taxpayer, and I have a problem.
Excuse me.
I have a problem.
You will have to sit down.
We're the citizens and the taxpayers.
We will get to you. Just be quiet, please. I'm being nice. Motion has been made and second. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Let's hear clerk call the roll.
Swiffle,
I vote yes.
Smallwood,
No. No. No.
Mr. Reese,
Yes.
Bam.
failed. Next item is to discuss the issue of the check to pay Middle Georgia Electric. Keith Roberts. Mr. Roberts, are you here?
Pardon me, why is that on here again?
I have a question.
We voted 5
Right.
of the council.
Let me make I will pass something on to you just a minute. Councilman. Just give me a minute, I'll let you see. Just let him look at the date on one time. But see, July 15th, she signed those, and she said she didn't approve it. And so here, the same check, it's 2 signatures. The only 3 people who signed we got a lead to. So then, if that's the case, that check there. Why would you do that before? At that time, I was not in the seat, but she came afterwards. Would you take a look at that count? I don't want to make that in public. That same check could have been presented that night. Are you looking at the date?
Yes, I'm looking at the whole check.
Okay, exactly.
Right.
All right, flip back. That whose signature is on that account?
Check or
Not the check. The date. Look at the date, July 21st.
July 21st.
That check is already
Walter
written.
Brown and Tommy Small.
Okay. Go to off the same check. If you could sign it then, why was not that check presented?
Her signature is not a legal signature on the squash. So her signature is not any good on it, even though if the name's on it, it doesn't make any difference. You, Ms. Toll, and Mr. Smallwood are the only 3 that can sign it. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. But if you sign this check, it's legal right now. We've already made the motion.
Exactly,
Yes, ma'am.
exactly.
So Mr. Roberts is expecting you to sign the check and give it to him.
We've already discussed it. I just asked him, I told him, based on what has been written, ordered by the judge, I don't want this kind of money to go out without council being aware. Are y'all aware of that, council? I do nothing.
I thought we had said that we would not authorize any checks to leave City Hall without the signature of the treasurer.
Exactly.
Now, her name has to be on that.
Exactly.
One other person. But now, if y'all both sign it, and she don't sign it, you in violation of the charter. Because the charter says every check is to be signed by the city treasurer and the clerk.
Exactly.
Mr. Warner holds that position.
Exactly.
Now, there's nothing wrong with signing with her.
Right.
But you two don't need to sign a check without her signature.
Exactly.
But she's not on the account, though, you know.
We said that. I don't remember the account changing. I remember those statements were made and nothing changed.
I was taking off. Stop.
I mean, that just stands to reason. The clerk needs
Right.
to get it.
I was with y'all. Y'all went down there that day and you see the signatures that we put on. I mean, they was all done on the same day. Every one of them. I understand.
Right, they've been changed, we don't know what's what. So, we don't have a problem with paying, like you said, but the clerk is the treasurer of the, there's noise coming from the front, and I need to concentrate. So, council, are y'all with me?
Yes, ma'am, if you don't know what to sign.
Are we in agreement that the treasurer needs to be on this chair? What was that, council? You might want to.
I said that we had this in one of the, council meetings, that the clerk, needs to be on call.
I've written the check both ways and neither way has it been signed. I've tried everything I can do to get that check signed.
Y'all had a check.
My name was on it, she wouldn't sign it, and I avoided it out, and hoped that she would sign it and still not sign. But I've done everything that I could possibly do to get that check signed, just keep it.
We will go ahead and pay him, but you put your signature right here, be in agreement to go ahead and.
And someone's gonna have to sign besides me, Mr. Smallwood, because I am not on the signature card at the bank, but I will gladly put my name on here again.
Right, go ahead.
But unless
That's the
one
only
of the others
county
can sign it.
those are the only three that can sign.
We'll pay him. We'll be. Yeah, I didn't sign that. Mr. Roberts, you can come up and get your check.
Let me ask you something. That money's coming out of Florida. What we keep bringing these Florida checks, Mr. Law? Remember we said, what are we paying him for?
Well, he's got a generator out there tonight. I think y'all need to stop and look out there. Mr. Roberts is gonna come up and explain. That's why I have him on the, just let him. Go ahead.
I mean, it's for a contract that was dated back in March the 7th. The mayor signed, the city council approved the bid to a contract for $132,000. The contract, we made pay requests. Didn't get the first three, it turned into a problem. We finally got it. We got the second one, Mr. Cole signed and Mr. Smallwood signed. Now the third one I've been through since July, and I haven't got paid.
Is this the last check,
This is the final payment.
Okay.
Well, let me say this, Dick, that before I was suspended, did you not get a $50,000+ check and you were supposed to return it? I've never received that $16,000 yet. I've asked her, but I've asked the clerk, she has not presented it. So could I possibly get it tomorrow?
If I can find it, I can for you. I'll be glad to. But I've got it.
Okay.
She's got it.
Now, would you elaborate a little bit, just a little, because they are near me, as myself, explain in detail what that generator did. Everybody's
I need a copy of this check before it's given to him. I have to keep a copy of all the signed splosh checks. So if somebody would go somewhere and make a copy of it for me, I appreciate it. I would.
Thank you. You can, is Mr.
Can I get a deputy to go?
G.
Couple of questions for Mr. Robert Lee, if I might ask him, you still have got to come and train our guys on that, hooking it up and show them how to run it, make sure it's run and crank up, and you've got to install the heater at the police department for that. Warmer.
It's just the outlet. It's just the outlet or drop forward.
Okay.
Who would be the person to be trained?
Melvin and Zach, or any of them, Melvin, you know, out there working with the water and sewer stuff.
Okay.
But I got the generator and I'm gonna carry it to the police department.
Did y'all want to see the generator?
Turn it over to
He's got it outside. Council, did y'all, Council Reeves?
We'll see if we're there.
Okay. Are you gonna be here till the meeting's over? Y'all might better take a recess. Did y'all need to look at it?
It'll be at the police department.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
The Baskett, power goes out.
One more question, Keith. The big cable, it didn't have a plug in, you're gonna have to wire it up?
The startup guy that comes down to train y'all, he's gonna put it on. I already thought it. Actually, I had startup set up for 26 county, so I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Gotcha, okay.
Mr. Roberts, let me ask you a question. Would that be too much? When you come back to train them, that you could get some of the newly elected council members to see this and see how it works? Or what have you?
I told Spence today, if everything went through tonight, I was gonna call Caterpillar tomorrow. That's who's gonna do the startup. Set that up with them whenever they can get it on their schedule, just as soon as they can get it on their schedule. I'll let Spence know, and he can send y'all emails of what day and what time it'll be. I mean, we'll start at the police station for a demonstration of how to run it. And we'll probably just go to one or two lift stations and show you how to exercise it.
You gonna have to go to all of them to check the rotation or not?
No.
Okay.
We just use the phase rotation here, see the
Just
walk by,
one
the counter
time,
walk
that's
by.
it.
Is there a listing of the lift stations? Because I don't know what a lift and a drop is.
Yes, ma'am. I know where they are.
I'd like, I said there, listing of where the stations are.
You've got this, there's a map in the back that shows each location and the street address. It's very back.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
All right. Next line of business. Our next order of business is new business, and we're going to discuss the maturity of the CD. And Mr. Reese, would you? I
We
find that
talked
clear.
to Ms. Jody Scarborough with Morris Bank, Ms. Scarborough. Let us know that that CD matured last Thursday. It was a $2 million CD. The current value of that CD is $2,131,000 plus dollars. Now, our option is, what are we going to do with this CD? Are we going to roll? Are we going to move the actual $2 million? Keep the interest, get some of these bills paid that we said owed, or are we going to roll the whole amount? And if we are going to roll, where are we going to roll to? I got a call in to Ms. Ballard with the Georgia Fund 1 because I think we do better handling our money through Georgia Fund 1. I need to talk to Ms. Ballard to see what the interest rate is and what's going on right now. So hopefully I'll be able to get back in touch with her tomorrow. But my suggestion would be to take the interest facing bill and put the $2 million back in Georgia. That's just me. Well, we can discuss it. I mean, I want to see how everybody else feels.
That's what we got.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I have got some information just like Mr. Reese did. I've tried to keep up with it because I knew it was fixing to mature. And there's certain things that you have to do through the bank now. If you're going to, say, roll it over, the name has to be changed on that CD. It's in the name of the previous mayor, Kenneth Turner. He was the one that signed it into the bank at the time. It cannot automatically be rolled over, without a resolution to change that. And if you want to move it into the One Georgia Fund, as of Wednesday of this week, Wednesday is the last day you can make a decision to keep it in the Gordon Bank. If you're going to keep it there, you have to have a resolution to change the name and put the $2 million in, and a resolution to take the $131,000 out. So I was kind of being proactive, with that information, But put it into One Georgia Fund, all we would have to do is wait for Wednesday, and the Gordon Bank, say Thursday, probably they would have to write you a check for the full amount, take it out of that CD. It had to be cashed in, and then put it into One Georgia Fund. But I'm in agreement with Mr. Reese. I think we need to take the $2 million and put it back into One Georgia Fund, and then take the $131,000 and put into the general fund, because we do not have enough money to cover our payroll coming up this Thursday. So Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Check before left, all we have in general fund right now is $1,247, and we've got stacks of invoices need to be paid now, plus the upcoming payroll.
Payroll and bill is really important. That would be my recommendation too. Tommy, everybody else. What they want.
Let me say this discussion too, being that it is in the previous mayor's name. So what, now I had a discussion with Ms. Ballard too about this, and being that you're the one that's, only the one that's authorized, Councilman Reese, am I right?
That's what I was told about her.
You're the only one that can make those changes. And so being that I'm the new mayor, we've got to find that procedure as to what we need to do to get previous mayor's name off with mine on it. Pardon? Resolution. So, go ahead and, how do we do it?
If that's the clear, everybody in agreement, they want to go ahead and consent to that to get a resolution so that we can get the transfer of the process.
Right.
That's all.
Certainly. I think, yeah, I mean, Wednesday is pretty much the deadline. You only got a week when it matures, but it roll over, and it won't roll over automatic this year because of that name change.
So, any further discussion? Did I see a hand, Councilman?
So we will get something to say.
Did y'all have anything to say? So, can I entertain a motion that we go ahead and do a resolution?
I offer a motion there that we do the resolution, that the plans are to keep the interest on the money, to pay city bills, and to transfer $2 million back to the Georgia Fund.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion.
Only thing we'll need to do is, the extra name to put on the One Georgia Fund when it is set up. I know Mr. Reese and Ms. Brown right now, so we have to, include those in whatever you decide to do, just a recommendation. We can handle that probably separate from this, I don't know. But I'm in agreement to it.
All in favor? Roll call, clerk.
Smallwood.
Aye.
Mr. Reese.
Like the time, by the way, I think Mr. Green and them may have a resolution that's fairly close. They may be able to write one up, you know, so that we could, you know, actually have to adopt that resolution and sign all the council to make it legal, you know, before Wednesday.
I don't have a problem, but, you know, what about you?
Well, he can, I don't know.
Attorney Jones.
I can draw it up and if you can, pay it tonight.
Do you have one, Attorney Boone?
Yes, ma'am, we got one, but y'all, motion was a little different from the one we had prepared to just cash out the CD. Yeah. This was to renew it and leave it at the bank, not transfer it.
Go ahead.
The one I have is the Georgia Fund 1 resolution that they require, the Georgia 1 Fund. I've had this come up several times.
So you have the.
But this is to change the signature cards and everything on the Georgia Fund 1 account we've already got. Y'all want some, because y'all didn't mention adding some new names to it.
You got to get the CD out before it goes
Exactly.
to Georgia 1 for them.
So you have that.
This is the only one that I've got.
Excuse me?
This is the only one that I have from the Georgia Fund.
No, this was just to,
Renew it, I think.
Could you, look at that, give it to Councilman Reese, and let us look at it, please?
Well, we don't want to step on Mr. Jones' toes if he's already got his prepared and talking to the bank about this $2 million CD.
I mean, I don't have one prepared, I can prepare one, but I don't have one prepared now. If they want one prepared tonight to sign, you have
They
some.
don't have to, they got $2 million check in cash.
I mean, I can, if they want to, I can maybe hand grab something. But I don't have.
I think we can probably modify this one.
Well, I don't know about doing it with Joseph Van Fund would be my only concern. In talking to the bank, This thing, like Mr. Eady, I think Mr. Reese also said, is already expired, and it's gonna be cashed out come Wednesday. All right, that's $2 million you gotta put somewhere. It's not gonna be insured up more than $100,000 if you just stick it in the bank account somewhere, which is why you gotta put it back in the Georgia Fund 1 or a CD or something like that. So the idea was, because of the immediacy, to renew the CD, authorize renewing the CD, transferring the interest to the general fund so that the bills can continue to get paid. And there's 3 resolutions, another one for SPLOST, which I can look at. I'll do that some of the time too. We could change it, and I've got some blank resolution forms in case the council decide they want to do something different. To put it in the Georgia Fund 1, I just don't know. I'm not familiar with, if you don't already have the Fund 1 account set up ready to receive the money.
Pass that down, please.
Isn't that what you got, Monica?
Let me show. This is the Georgia Fund 1 themselves said, anytime we can make any changes.
The chief is ready to payroll checks like that. I got no problem signing payroll checks. I said, the only thing is, if you bring my head outside, bring me a check off list. Don't just bring me a bunch of checks and say sign these. I want to check the list to see who's getting what. A lot of times people come down and sign a check, and the problem we've been having for years is not accountability. Is that so many of us are asked to sign a check by the clerk, and when you sign the check, everything is blocked the way you're supposed to sign. Now we don't do that. But the initial check, you did not tell the amount. You just see where you put your name. I won't go into that.
Now, let us focus on what the Wilkinson County Post posted here. Now they are coming, trying to attack NAN chapter president Sarah Hunt, as you can see in this article here, saying Macon president tried to bully and intimidate city hall employees early in the week about an open records request filed by the Ghetto Free Press George Boston Riots. Of course, that's me. And since they have chose to enter me into the picture at this level, I want to say that the Ghetto Free Press has never, on any of my 4,000 videos, focused on the racial motivation of anything. But what I have done is presented the facts, as I always do. So let's stay focused on this and other things that they are going to do, because they know, like I know, that something is up.